Most of us dog owners are pretty aware that our dogs are social creatures. Just like us, they seek social connection. And the way in which we domesticated dogs and continue to breed them to be increasingly more social animals plays a huge part in how we interact with them and how they live in our human-centered world. When we think of the social needs of dogs, we so often think of that need in relation to other dogs. Dogs need a friend or someone to play with. And whilst for most dogs that is true, social needs don't just end when dogs interact with other dogs. The social needs of dogs include them interacting with humans, other animals they might encounter, and the social environment. This is everything from traffic lights to hoovers, cats to children. The social world of a dog is huge, so meeting their social needs in an appropriate way is something as owners we need to be aware of. Hi, I'm Ella, I'm a dog trainer, and I'm currently studying to become an animal behaviourist. And in this little series, which I've titled Meeting Your Dog, we've been going over meeting your dog's needs by looking at the hierarchy of needs. We started with biological needs, then we looked at emotional needs, and now we are on to social needs. Before we really get into this video, I want to make something very clear. The social needs of each dog, much like the social needs of each human, are very unique. There are things we need to take into perspective. Some breeds have been shown to be more social than others. Both in research and in practice, we know that on average the golden retriever is more friendly than the Shiba Inu. Sociability of a dog is not something that is set in stone. It's something that moves on a scale depending on their environment, how they're feeling that day, their health status, age, and who and what they're interacting with. A perfect example of this are ex-street dogs. These are dogs who may not have been overly social with humans, but were super social with other dogs. When we remove them from the environment that they're used to being in, for many of these dogs it switches. They can become so reliant on these new humans in their life to the point of experiencing separation anxiety and come to detest other dogs, only because the way that they were socialized with other dogs when they were street dogs is not the way that we expect them to socialize when they're pet dogs. So when we're looking at sociability, a reminder that this is a sliding scale. It's in constant movement. And 2 quick points before we move on. Number 1, if you have a puppy and you're watching this video to meet your puppy's social needs, this will be great information for when that puppy is an adult dog. But truth be told, I would need to do a whole separate video on puppy socialization and meeting the social needs of a puppy because it is very different. Don't not listen because your puppy will become an adult dog, but this is not specifically for you. Finally, I'm going to be mentioning play quite a bit in this video, and I just want to say play does not mean play with toys. Play means any sort of fun that you have while interacting with your dog. Personally, my old dog Bo did not enjoy playing that much. She would do it sometimes, but she was a food girl. Okay, so let's get into meeting the social needs of our dogs so that we can lead better lives with them and finally get to the point where we can actually train them. As in the previous videos, I have split meeting the social needs of our dogs into a couple of categories. The first category is the overall social needs of our dogs. Because meeting the social need of any animal is such a nuanced subject and everyone has a different environment in which they have the opportunity to meet the social needs of their dogs, I have created this overall section just to look at what I think most dogs will need. I think that the 2 most important things when it comes to meeting the social needs of our dogs is for them to have the ability to read the humans and other dogs around them. This is what I would call pro-social behaviour. No, this doesn't mean your dog wants to play with every dog. No, this doesn't even mean that your dog likes every other dog that they see. It just means that they know how to react to the information that they are receiving. If they don't like the other dog running up to them, they know to come back to you. If they don't like the dog jumping on them, they know to flee the situation rather than fight it. Ultimately, whether they like other dogs or don't like other dogs, whether they like other humans or don't like other humans, they have a skill set which means that they can escalate. I mentioned escalation in the last video, and I know a lot of people would think, why would I want my dog to escalate? But escalation just means they start at the smallest signal. When we as humans learn to read the most subtle of the escalation cues, it means that we can remove our dogs from situations quicker, which might prevent an undesired event. I believe that the most important aspect to meeting the social needs with our dogs when it comes to connecting with us is that they are able to have a plethora of experiences with us. They are able to play with us. They are able to be calm with us. They're able to interact socially with us of their own free will. When a dog has all of these overall basic social needs met and the ability to do them, what we really have is a dog who can cope. The overall social goal for all dogs is for them not to be a risk to themselves, the environment, or the public around them. This is important for 2 reasons. Number 1, anybody or anything that comes into contact with your dog deserves to be safe while they are in space with your dog. And number 2, your dog deserves not to be stressed. A dog who is stressed by their most frequented places is probably not a dog who has the time to decompress or even the ability to learn that these spaces are safe. I just want to say I have lived with a dog like this. I know how difficult it is. And in these scenarios, we can use things like gates and barriers, double locks, leads, muzzles, and signs to keep people away. But the truth is, this is all management. And we have a very popular saying in the dog training and behaviour world, management fails. Leads snap, muzzles get rubbed off, gates get left open. I am not saying your dog needs to be the friendliest dog in the neighborhood and want to say hello to everybody, but your dog does need to be able to handle or cope with the environment that they're in, at minimum in an escalating way, in a way that starts at 0 and only goes to 100 when they actually need to. As I said, I have lived with a dog who went to 100 straight away, partially because I couldn't read her social cues and partially because I had ignored or punished them in the past. To work on habituating a dog to their environment, we would have to do things like desensitization, counter conditioning, gradual exposure, basically slowly showing them that this is a safe space to be in. If you have what has been labelled a reactive dog, meeting your dog's social needs is probably going to involve some quite big life changes. So it might be hard, but it will definitely be worth it. Imagine not having to hide in the hedgerows every time you saw another dog. I remember those days. I'm not reminiscing either. The second section we're going to look at when meeting our dog's social needs is their sociability with other dogs. No, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that your dog needs to be perfectly pro-social with every single dog they meet. Number one, that's unrealistic. I've definitely met people I didn't like. And number two, it's not necessarily healthy. You have to question, is your dog actually enjoying every single interaction with other dogs? Or are they masking because they're nervous, because their way of coping is to shut down or fawn rather than fight or flee? Remember, when we don't give the dogs the opportunity to flee, what options do they really have left? The first thing I've listed in meeting the social needs of a dog in relation to other dogs is being able to have a mixture of experiences with other dogs without becoming overly aroused or shut down. Being able to play with other dogs appropriately, being able to walk side by side with other dogs, being able to see other dogs without huge meltdowns. This is all really important. The goal here is not for your dog to ignore every single dog they see. The goal here is for your dog to be more engaged with you than they are other dogs. A dog who has appropriate play solicitation behaviours like play bows, like taking breaks, like taking in turns, like not launching on them or humping the other dogs are all really important to create those good social connections. This is why it's so important that your dog is able to disengage from other dogs, because if they get to that point of over arousal where they are headlocking other dogs or humping them or jumping over them or not taking turns, we can call them back to us. We can break up the play. And this again is why it's super important for owners to be able to read not only the body language of their dog but the body language of other dogs. Quite simply, the true pro-social dog is not the dog that adores every other dog they come into contact with. The truly pro-social dog is a dog who is a clear communicator, who's able to understand the social cues of the other dogs around them, and is able to disengage with dogs when they no longer want to be social with them. Truly pro-social dog is not the dog that chooses fight, but would rather choose flight. The next section we're going to look at is the dog's social needs out of the home. This essentially is the dog's social environment, is the human-centered world that we have put them in. If your dog has triggers such as bikes, wheelchairs, certain people like men in hats, you have some work to do when it comes to meeting your dog's social need out in the big wide world. In relation to meeting a dog's social need in the larger environment, so outside of the home, we so often hear owners say things like, "Oh, I'm sorry, my dog barked at you, you're a man in a hat and they're scared of men in hats," or "Oh, I'm sorry, my dog chased your dog for far too long then and I couldn't get them back. It's your dog looks like their best friend," or "I'm sorry, my dog started barking in the cafe. It's that coffee machine sounds like our old coffee machine that we used to have and I think he misses it." Of course, I'm playing, but I'm also kind of not playing. I was this owner. I was making up excuses for my dog. The truth is, my dog had had some traumatic experiences. She didn't like men because she had been harmed by men. She didn't like other dogs because she'd been attacked by other dogs. But that wasn't the reason she was still doing the behaviour. The reason she was still doing the behaviour is because I hadn't prevented it. I hadn't worked on it. I hadn't put the effort in. And even when I did start to put the effort in, I stopped myself from repeating these phrases. This meant that I could take full responsibility for every reaction that she was having. Yes, the reason my old dog Bo originally started to bark at men was because she had had bad experiences with men. But the reason she was still doing it is because I did not have the knowledge or the ability to change it. Once I had that mindset shift, we were able to change it. I realised that the gap wasn't necessarily Bo's acceptance of men or of her triggers, and it was actually my lack of knowledge and experience meant that filling in that gap was wholly my responsibility. It is important to note here that the social environment for each dog will be different. Some people live in urban areas and some people live in very rural areas. A dog who lives on a farm is going to need to be habituated to cows, heavy machinery, but might not need to be exposed to that many people. Dogs who live in cities or urban areas will need to be okay with cars, bikes, other people in very close proximity. Let's be really real with ourselves though. A lot of people are putting their dogs in social environments they probably don't need to be in, and it's causing them more stress than needs be. Taking your dog to cafes when they really don't like cafes might just have to be a hill you choose not to climb with them. There are plenty of social situations I don't really like. For example, I love the train. I love sitting on the train. I love watching the world go by on the train. I honestly could sit on the train all day and just watch the countryside roll by. But put me on a bus, I am not a happy bunny. I have to sit as far away as I can from the engine. I don't like people sitting next to me. The smell is weird. And I get nervous that I'm going to miss my stop. Our dogs can feel the same way that we do about certain social situations. And finally, we've got meeting the social needs of our dogs inside the home. You might be thinking, what do you mean social needs of a dog inside the home? Being inside the home is not social. As long as they're interacting with other people or dogs, we need to look at the social aspect of that. Being able to interact with other humans in a way that is relative to their sociability is really important. This might look like your dog having a safe space to go to, like a crate, or it might look like them greeting and saying hello to people. This directly relates to being able to show a plethora of behaviours in the presence of other people. Some of us will have what we call people-pleasing dogs. These are dogs that will roll on their back and show their belly. These are dogs that will get very low and sort of worm towards people. That's not necessarily a social dog. That's not necessarily a dog who feels comfortable. What we want is a dog who is confident in their decisions. They understand that they don't have to say hello to people. They can choose to go off to their crate or their bed and not be disturbed. That is an example of the escalating scale. Step 1 would be them leaving the situation. Another aspect of sociability in the home is how they react to things that are external but affect them in the house. For example, dogs passing the window or fence fighting with the neighbour's dogs. This is still a social aspect of their behaviour because it's them interacting with something else. And also, we have to note that it is quite a natural behaviour, and some dogs will be more inclined to practice these behaviours than others. In reality, guarding can be dangerous, and it can also make people feel really uncomfortable. You have to ask yourself what level of guarding you think is appropriate for your dog, and the most important aspect of all of this is if you can interrupt it. So I encourage you to look at your dog and your situation and what you want out of this. Other examples of meeting your dog's social need in your home is them being habituated to the daily goings on. The washing machine, the TV, the Hoover. If your dog isn't habituated to these things, it could cause them a lot of stress. When all is said and done, the sociability of our dogs depends on just one thing: the availability of healthy social interactions. This can be with other dogs, other people, and their environment as a whole, both inside the home and outside of the home. If we lack this availability for healthy social interactions, we're going to find it very difficult to show our dogs that the world actually is safe, that to be a social creature is a safe thing. Meeting the social needs of any of our dogs is such a unique experience. And I'm going to drive this point home one last time. Meeting the social need of a dog is not about having a perfectly pro-social dog. It's about a dog who can cope with the environment that you put them in. It's a dog who has the skills needed and an owner who has the understanding of when the dog is saying no. Pro-social dog is not a dog that adores every other dog and person they see or wants to be in every single environment that we're in. Truly pro-social dog is a dog that can interpret the world around them and react in a way appropriate to the situation that they are in. The crux of all of this is to have a human who understands what that dog is trying to tell them. In next week's video, we're going to be looking at the breed-specific or species-specific needs of our dogs. I am so excited to talk about the breed-specific needs of all dogs. We are going to go over all the dogs. Literally, if you can comment the weird-ass breed that you have, I promise you we're going to go over it. Watch this. Trust me, we're going to do it. You don't have to, but if you did enjoy this video or you have some thoughts, please comment. I would love to have a conversation about this. This is my special interest. Let me talk about it more, please. If you want a free checklist of everything we went over today, a link to that will be in the description below. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Say hi to your dog for me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.